Good evening, I'm Patricia Vallone with a CTV News update. The 3-year-old child shot in Bowie on Monday has died. Authorities say the boy, not yet identified, was with a parent visiting an apartment at Governor's Bridge Road about 6 p.m. Police say the shooting occurred shortly after their arrival and that other adults were present. Detectives are trying to determine whether the shooting was accidental. Few other details have been released. Anyone with information on the case is asked to contact authorities. Well, federal and state leaders from across the Washington metro region announced a crackdown on carjackings. During a press conference at the Greenbelt Courthouse, leaders announced the creation of a regional task force to address the spike in carjackings over the past year. According to officials, carjackings in Prince George's and Montgomery counties doubled in 2020. The task force, a collaboration between federal and state prosecutors, aims to hold criminals accountable regardless of where their crimes take place.
We must and we will hold young people accountable for their actions. Most of them are committing these very violent crimes using a handgun. So that's a concern too, a juvenile with a handgun, and now that juvenile is using it to confront a motorist and taking that individual's vehicle. So now we have someone who's not even old enough to drive, carjacking, and driving oftentimes across county lines.
Brave Boy also says that Prince George's County has its own carjacking task force. The state's attorney will announce more details on that initiative tomorrow. Well, here are the latest COVID-19 numbers. The number of people testing positive for the coronavirus is up from yesterday. Today's number is 337. That's more than 100 higher than Tuesday's figure. The positivity rate is down to 2.19%. Deaths are also down slightly. 12 people have succumbed to the disease since yesterday. And as the pandemic continues, the local Economic Development Corporation is providing $12,000 grants to struggling eateries. It's through the organization's Restaurant Assistance Grant. The deadline to apply is this Friday. You must be based in Prince George's. Catering and food truck businesses are also eligible. Eateries can use the awards for various expenses, including PPE, rent, or payroll.
The Restaurant Assistance Grant promotes long-term sustainability and resiliency of business operations. Businesses have had to be creative and expand in ways they hadn't anticipated, and the county executive understands that there are expenses related to supporting COVID safety measures and operating under restricted capacity as we turn the corner during this pandemic.
Again, the deadline is this Friday. To apply, visit pgcedc.com. IRS refund checks for 2020 unemployment taxes should be hitting bank accounts over the next few weeks. The American Rescue Plan, which was signed into law March 11th, retroactively waived federal taxes on the first $10,200 worth of unemployment aid. Married taxpayers filing jointly can exclude up to $20,400. That's if both received unemployment. The exemption only applies to tax filers who made less than $150,000 last year, whether they're filing as single or married. The refund applies to Americans who filed their 2020 returns before the stimulus package became law in mid-March. And you are watching CTV News. I'm Patricia Vallone. We'll be back in just a moment.
Right here, baby.
The sooner you recognize the signs of autism, the sooner you can make a lifetime of difference for your child. Start by answering a few simple questions at screenforautism.org.
Welcome back. The Prince George's County Council and the county executive have come out in opposition to the high-speed Baltimore to Washington Maglev Train. The council voted unanimously to authorize a joint letter with Angela Alsobrooks to the Maryland Department of Transportation and the Federal Railroad Administration, recommending the no-build option for the project. The letter states in part that the system would harm neighborhoods, parkland, and environmentally sensitive areas. As proposed, the maglev would slice through Prince George's with no station stops. Well, roadways were nearly empty during March of 2020, the first month the pandemic hit the U.S. Now that over a third of Americans are fully vaccinated, will traffic return to pre-pandemic levels, or will the new norm continue to include teleworkers? It's a question those who plan the region's infrastructure are having to reevaluate.
Now that we appear to be heading into sort of a post-pandemic period, we're trying to understand what some potential directions we might be going in terms of a post-pandemic reality, or the new normal, if you will. On one hand, we can think that, well, things are just going to return back to normal. The public health threat will be gone, and we can go back to the way things were before the pandemic. Another possibility is that things like teleworking may have taken a fairly strong foothold, and people may not have to commute to the office as frequently as they did before the pandemic. And so that could have some implications for future land use patterns, where people choose to live, where people choose to work. And of course, that would also beg the question about what types of investments do we as a region need to make in terms of our transportation infrastructure.
You can check out the latest COVID-19 travel monitoring snapshot on the Metropolitan Washington Council of Governments website. And meantime, the Council of Governments also kicks off its process for funding enhanced mobility projects for seniors and people with disabilities. COG's Transportation Planning Board was briefed on the topic this afternoon. A grants process is currently underway to help fund projects that remove barriers to transportation and expand mobility options.
For this program, there are actually a number of priority projects that are Access for All Committee, which is a committee of individuals from the community, so people with disabilities, older adults. There might be aging and transportation and disability agencies involved in that, as well as the departments of transportation. And so they guide what's called our Human Service Coordinated Plan, Human Service Transportation Coordinated Plan, that identifies the priority projects for the region. And then this enhanced mobility program is based on those recommendations. Now, certainly people can apply for something other than those priority projects, but those are things like travel training to teach people to use public transit, volunteer driver programs, actual purchase of vehicles for programs like the ARCs that help people with developmental disabilities in their community so that they can remain in the community. So it's a whole array of different things.
For more information, you can log on to mwcog.org. TSA announces major changes at airport checkpoints. Going forward, passengers will scan their own boarding passes. You'll also be able to bring up to 12 ounces of hand sanitizer in carry-on bags. Also, alcohol and antibacterial wipes will be allowed in carry-on and checked luggage. And in an effort to reduce touch points, TSA recommends that travelers place personal items like keys or wallets into carry-on bags rather than bins. Investigators have released the identity of the man suspected of shooting 2 Charles County Sheriff deputies. He's 28-year-old Denzel Clark of Waldorf. Relatives say he suffered from mental health issues. The incident happened Monday just before 4 in the afternoon in the 6300 block of Josephine Road in Waldorf. Investigators say the officers were attempting to serve an arrest warrant when he opened fire, striking the officers multiple times. Police used a drone to enter the house. The drone showed the man's body on the floor with a gun nearby. The officers' injuries are said to be serious but non-life-threatening. And we will be back with more news in just a moment. Stay with us.
You know, a lot of people say when you're going somewhere, you don't want to look back. But I beg to differ. For her to see her father celebrate his graduation, it's the best feeling in the world. I can't lie and say it was easy. But sometimes you just have to stop everything and take it in. I looked at everything in a different light. I realized it started with me going back and getting my high school diploma.
Thanks for staying with us. Well, parents, listen up. The county school system is taking back all Verizon Hotspots from students. The announcement comes after a nationwide safety recall was issued for the Verizon Ellipsis Jetpack mobile hotspot. These devices were given to students during distance learning. Parents are being asked to return the device, battery, and charger to their child's school by June 15th. Now, the hotspots are scheduled to be disconnected by June 18th. Students can exchange the device for a new hotspot for summer school if needed. Families in need will also get new hotspots at the start of the new school year. Calling all art enthusiasts, Prince George's Public Schools is hosting its annual art exhibit virtually this year. The showcase features about 600 works, including paintings, drawings, and 3D pieces. All schools across the county participated from pre-K to 12th grade. Teachers selected the best of the best to display. The kids worked on these pieces throughout the academic year.
I think it's really important that we elevate our students' work during this time, particularly because a lot of this work was created with all their social and emotional learning that we have going on right now, and a lot of issues that we've all been dealing with during this time.
And to check out these incredible pieces, you can visit pgcps.org/gallery. Well, her name is Chelsea Green. She's an international recording artist who, along with her vocals, plays violin and viola. Born in Houston, Texas, and performing at Carnegie Hall at the age of 16, Green received her PhD in musical arts from the University of Maryland College Park. This Saturday, Green will be performing virtually with the Prince George's Philharmonic at Prince George's Community College.
It's going to be a very interactive concert with strings and live band, where we're going to be playing a beautiful arrangement of Lift Every Voice and Sing that my father actually helped arrange for the strings and the band. We're going to be playing a couple of my original songs, some songs released on my first record, and also a couple of songs from my most recent release, Re-Envisioned, that came out during the pandemic time, July 2020. And we're going to be also having some other fun, popular tunes that have been arranged for strings and live band.
The show is free and gets underway at 7:30 p.m. To get the link, go to chelseagreen.com. Also, Green is performing Sunday at the Wine and Music Festival in Bel Air. It will be her first performance before a live in-person audience since the pandemic began. Are you looking for a new book to read? If so, you might want to check out the Maryland Humanities Reading Program. It's called One Maryland, One Book. The organization is celebrating its 14th year. Once a year, the group suggests a novel for Marylanders to read. It recently selected Ross Gay's The Book of Delights, which is a collection of lyrical essays.
He spent an entire year just observing the things around him and writing about whatever delighted him. So this is not your more formal essays that you might see in some books, or written for a magazine that offers opinion or commentary, but rather, I guess you could almost call it musings.
Maryland Humanities is also planning to host an author tour in October with Ross. For more information, you can visit the website on your screen. Well, get ready for a symphonic explosion of cicadas. A cacophony of their music is expected to flourish this weekend as temperatures soar. Recent nighttime temps of 40 to 50 degrees caused a slow emergence this past week. Cicadas need warm weather to shed their exoskeletons during the molting process. The young insects that successfully molt are expected to be singing some very loud, sweet tunes over the next few days to attract their mates. And now let's check out your weather forecast. Tonight, mostly clear with lows around 60 degrees. Thursday, mostly sunny with highs around 87. Friday, some sunshine, highs in the 80s. And Saturday, partly sunny conditions with highs near 90 degrees. It's going to be a hot one. That is your CTV News Update. I'm Patricia Vallone. Have a great night.